Hello. Welcome to the Tales and Tunes Show. Very pleased today. We have a wonderful guest, Christian Aha, that's going to perform for you. I'll tell you a little story of how this came about. Last September 10th, we did a fundraising effort at Deer Lake in Killingworth, Connecticut. And we put on the Deer Lake Music Festival. Christian was one of the invited guests. And unfortunately, he had a circumstance occur to him that prevented his performance. So it decided that we were going to hold this meeting today and give him an opportunity to perform and include him in the performance list. So I take pleasure in introducing to you Christian Aha. Now, Christian, why don't you tell us what happened on that day, September 10th, when you were going to come down and perform for us? What happened?
Little car accident. Little car accident,
but serious enough that you can't drive your car anymore, right?
Yeah.
And tell a little story about what your chief concern was.
Well, the second I got hit, as soon as I knew I was alive, I went to the trunk and grabbed the guitars and checked them out, of course.
Absolutely. Yes, so thank you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your musical background, Christian?
Well, I grew up surrounded by great music. My parents played, jazz and blues and a little bit of everything. So when I was 7, I took up piano. And I hated practicing.
Of course.
But then right around high school age, I picked up the guitar and I just got addicted.
Wow.
And here we are.
So did you have lessons at that time with the guitar, or did you just pick it up and work it out yourself?
YouTube, all YouTube. Wow. I went on and I found some of my guitar heroes and just watched their hands, slowed it down to like half speed and kind of just worked it out that way.
Yeah, that's a tremendous way to learn. And by the way, who were some of those musical heroes that you had then and still have now, I assume?
Yeah, so I always knew I didn't want to sing. So the guitar for me was a totally instrumental kind of thing. And so there was a period in there in the beginning when I was about to get a classical guitar and go that route. Mm-hmm. But I found a man by the name of Tommy Emmanuel on YouTube, and he just totally blew my mind. Yeah. The limits of the guitar were redefined, and I just took off from there.
Yeah, that is tremendous. And if you get a chance, folks, check out Tommy Emmanuel. As Christian states, is a spectacular guitar player, and a very kind, encouraging person. I believe. So, tell me about your learning experience. Does that have any effect on your college and your studies and your work at school?
It's tough to find time sometimes, but it kind of comes in waves. When I have extra motivation for a week, I'll play 5 hours a day, and I'll sometimes go a couple of days without picking it up at all. But you find ways around that.
Tell me about it. I know for myself included, every day the guitar is one arm's length away, and I'll pick that up and just play a little ditty or whatever, think of a lyric. When you create a piece of music on your instrument, is there any process you use, or can you walk us through what that creative process might be?
Well, I'm fairly new to songwriting, but I've kind of recently been trying to just absorb all the information and advice I can from my influences. I mentioned Tommy Emmanuel, Mike Dawes, Andy McKee, Trace Bundy, Callum Graham, Don Ross, guys like that. And one of the common themes I've heard is to have a good melody, have a good memorable melody, and not let your hands dictate what you're playing, let your mind. So you want to hear the melody and then translate it instead of playing it and having your hands do the work, sort of.
That's really fascinating. That's really fascinating because I think when I write a song, I mean, it comes in many different ways, and I do vocal too, so I'll write the lyrics. But you made the guitar your primary voice, and that's spectacular because, as you will see, folks, when Christian plays, he makes the guitar say a lot. But yeah, I will sometimes just do a little phrase on the guitar and then realize that that is something I can meld into a composition, a song itself. But that creative part, I know that you're going to do some original work for us today. What would you call the genre that you're playing in? What would you call that?
Well, I would call it fingerstyle guitar, kind of like the umbrella term, and then there's certain techniques that I throw in where I'll use percussion or open tunings or stuff like that.
Can you show us a little of that percussive technique?
Once you kind of look at the guitar for what it really is, fundamentally it's a box with strings. So you can get a kick drum right here, you can get a snare, or like this. You can do like little rolls. There's just so many sounds you can get. So just like different kind of colors to paint with. Yeah.
Is that some of the stuff that you picked up from Tommy Emmanuel and the other guitarists?
Yeah, the percussive stuff kind of stems from a guy named Michael Hedges.
Okay.
Who died years ago, unfortunately. But people like Mike Dawes, Andy McKee, Callum Graham, they've kind of taken that branch of fingerstyle guitar up to what it is now. So yeah.
Oh, I love that story. Tell us a little bit about that guitar. I love this little kangaroo up here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is a Maton guitar. It's from Australia, and it's the Tommy Emmanuel signature guitar. I got it around 3 years ago, and it has the best pickup I've ever heard on YouTube in person. Hands down, you can plug it in, set everything flat, and it sounds larger than life. Yeah. That's
amazing. Tell me a little bit about the strings. You said you did something special to them.
Yeah, well, I have the action criminally low. Every luthier I've ever gone to has kind of scolded me for it, but this kind of style, you're demanding so much from your hands, and once you get up here, if you're fighting the action, it just kills the tone, and you're going to injure yourself. So
I wish I had a little bit more of that reduction in my strings. So tell me about this percussion on the guitar. It's really amazing to see. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I do that on a different guitar. I have a Stonebridge from the Czech Republic, and there's so many sounds you can get with an acoustic guitar. There's a kick drum here or even here. There's snares like this. You can mess around with that. You can all this kind of stuff, and it's really just a unique thing. A lot of people haven't really seen before.
Why does that other guitar work better for that percussion stuff than this instrument?
That other one has 4 pickups in it.
Wow.
And I routed it to 2 outputs, and I have a little mixer. So there's a microphone to get some of the extra stuff.
I see. Yeah, that gives you quite a bit of an accent. Well, that's tremendous in terms of the instrument itself. Have you been able to do many live performances? I know you're in school, so it's tough. Have you been working on that, or do you do stuff on the internet and stream?
Well, I try to play out as much as possible. There's certain things you learn from playing for people that is totally different from in your bedroom. You know, you could have something down and then go put the camera on or play for someone, it all falls apart.
Yes. For sure. That that and or recording is the perfect way to hone a composition, you know, and solidify it in your mind. So when you do a live performance, does that take extra rehearsal, or do you do anything to prepare for that?
Well, most of the songs that I play, I've known for years now, and one thing I can say is if you're playing and you're recording it or playing for people, you want to be in a state where you're not thinking what comes next, because then you forget if you think too hard about it. So I kind of just zoom out and let my hands take the reins.
Exactly. That is that is really a great description of what it takes for a performance that goes beyond one that's rote. You're in another level when you're at that, and it takes a while to get there. And your preparation, as you said, many hours of practice and solidifying of the tunes. Well, I think that. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the folks out there before we hear your wonderful performance? Christian's going to perform a couple of songs for a couple of compositions of his original work in a little bit. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, the song I wrote last night, and I was just kind of thinking back to the accident, and my license plate started with BD, the letters BD, and after that, I saw BD on every license plate. I don't know if it's just in my head, but so I called it BD Groove, and yeah.
Excellent. So you see, folks, that the inspiration to do a new composition can come from anywhere. And in that particular instance, when we were having the festival, I didn't know that Christian had a problem, and I called him on the phone finally, and he told me about it. We're very upset, and it's the primary reason we have him here today. We want to give him an opportunity to perform and be included in the video package. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. And welcome to hear the original music of Christian Aha.
Thank